All right. All right. We got an early start, unfortunately. As the Knicks, I actually just missed who shot that ball for the Nuggets, but I believe this is for a moment there was the biggest Knicks deficit of the game. They were briefly down by 31, which is not what you want. So the Knicks get their ass kicked today. This was the first ass kicking, the first true ass kicking that they have had since I believe the Bucks game, first game out of the All-Star break. It happens. There are ass kickings that you make a big deal out of, and then there are ass kickings that you know, kind of brush aside as a result of the NBA season, and then there are ass kickings that are somewhere in between. For me, this is somewhere in between, much closer to the end of like, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. I think they ran into a buzzsaw known as Nikola Jokić. As an aside, if there's a single person, and with all due respect to Julius Randle, who we love Julius Randle here. I love Julius Randle here. You love Julius Randle here. Everybody loves Julius Randle. Julius Randle's not the MVP. Joel Embiid is not the MVP. I don't even know who else. Giannis Antetokounmpo is not the MVP. Nikola Jokić is the MVP, and it is not particularly close. And anybody who does not vote for him first place should have their vote taken away. And when he comes in and he makes a point to score like that, I'm not sure there's anyone who could really stop him, short of maybe, Joel Embiid. Maybe Gobert has a chance. That's about it. And the Knicks centers tonight obviously did not stand a chance. Bad matchup, as people are saying in the chat. Yes, Vivek, completely agree. This type of game was bound to happen. We, I guess, should be thankful that Tibbs has indeed taken the starters out, so we don't have to worry about that talking point going into tomorrow. I did not care to discuss that. Yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that Jokić went crazy, aside from the fact that I think it took probably the Knicks a little while to get adjusted to the altitude differential. I don't really know what more there is to say about this. Let's say this, and I'm going to have something I think probably for tomorrow in the newsletter, focusing on how quietly, maybe not so quietly anymore, but still kind of quietly, the Knicks have turned into really one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league when you look at their proficiency from the corners, when you look at how many corner shots they're taking, when you look at their proficiency for above the break threes, just a lot of different things. When they come out and they're just not hitting their open threes, it kind of has started if that's gonna happen, it's gonna infect everything else that they do. Like, this is not a team. James, I appreciate that. This is not a team that can sustain that type of shooting slump against an offensive team like this when Jokić has it going. So, in terms of, and then I'll talk a little bit more about some of the individual players in this game. In terms of okay, it's going to be 6 games now left. This is obviously a bad loss. They have 3 games coming up against some really good teams. Does it steamroll? Does it turn into something else? I personally am of the opinion at this point that, look, we've crossed the barrier. We've crossed the threshold of worrying about, is the other shoe going to fall off? Is this team magically going to turn into a shitty one? And I'm past that. They're going to come out, and I'm not saying that they're going to go ahead and beat Phoenix on Friday night, but they're going to come out and they're going to play hard against Phoenix, and I'm sure they're going to play well against Phoenix. And Phoenix does not have a Nikola Jokić. All due respect to Chris Paul. Be swayed, completely agree. On to the next one. You put this one behind you. I'll be curious as Emmanuel quickly hits a 3-pointer. Nice little game from the backup guards, which I'll get to them in a bit. But yeah, put this one behind you. I'd like to give them some credit for fighting there in the third quarter and getting it to 16 points, but that feels a little bit disingenuous. Yes, it's wonderful that this team has a guy like Taj Gibson who's willing to dive on the floor. And I thought Nerlens Noel had some massive blocks there, and where they were kind of maybe sort of thinking about getting back in it. It's unfortunate that they couldn't get one more bucket to get it to like 14 or 13 points. All that being said, it is what it is. It's a shitty game. We will get either one. Sean Hardy says we will get one of either Phoenix or the Lakers. Yes, I did smile when Frank made a good defensive play. We got Obi Toppin making a nice little pass to Frank in the corner. Does not go down. That's okay. I think, I'm not going to say it's like absolutely vital that they get one of these next 3 games, but it's not vital. I think a 4-game losing streak after 12 of 13 would feel like a little. It's not what you want. You want to get one of these games. Again, I don't really care who they get one of these games against. I said before the road trip that I probably would have signed for 2 and 4. That said, at this point, once you win the first 2, you kind of want to get one of those last 4, especially after this. That's the thing. The fact that they came in here and they got their ass kicked, you got to now come out, give a big time performance against Phoenix, win, lose, whatever. We'll see what happens. So Campazzo's really good. And obviously the news of the day, which is I'd much rather talk about than this game. Luca Vildoza is coming. I've been able to watch a little bit of tape on Vildoza, not as much as I would have liked to. I'll probably take some time next week to do that because I don't think he's coming here in the next week. I mean, there's no certainty he's going to come here this season. But I think he can help them. And I think more importantly than that, it's nice to know that the front office was actually continuing to do their homework and figure out, all right, we got this cap space. How can we utilize that? And the fact that they were able to sign him to this contract in which if it works out and he looks good over the next, in the Olympics and whatever, and he'll come and be in their system and training camp and the whole thing. And you want to pay the guy, for $3 million a year? Yeah, $3 million a year and change. Great. Awesome. If it doesn't work out, it's not compromising any of your future cap space. And the whole reason you're able to have that flexibility and sign that type of contract is because they did have some extra money to play around with. So, that's great. I'm going to talk about who I'd like Vildoza to take the place of in this rotation right now in a bit. Fuddy, build off this one. They've been getting all the media love. The streak has been so fun. This is a humbler. Get stronger from it. Did I think there at some point in the second quarter? No, we got the slam cover shoot. We had Tibbs going on ESPN today. I think he was on with Stephen A. I think he was on the jump. Julius gets Player of the Month. You've been waiting all season for this team to. I've been waiting. Like, is this team going to start reading its own press clippings? Maybe this was the best thing. Maybe Tibbs is going to be able to point to this and be like, all right, just as a reminder, you ain't shit. You're still the same squad that everybody picked to win less games than anybody else in the league. You got to earn it. Again, I don't think they came out today and like I think they just got hit with a buzzsaw. I don't think they came out with like no effort. I do think though that they got steamrolled by a much better team. Or in the sub. Hey Macri, I love your work. When do you think Luca will arrive this season, playoffs or next year? I honestly, I'd be guessing. I don't think. I think to expect him to be like part of the playoff rotation is a little bit. It's a bit much. I'm not going to start out by talking about Elfrid Payton because it's. I just can't. I got to save it. Let's assume everybody here, we all get our wish, right? And let's assume that. Real quick, I just missed this. Bad eyesight with a comment in the super chat. Interested to see how we defend Booker Friday. Both teams got blown out tonight. Both will be hungry for a W. And Phoenix has not been playing particularly well, too. And they're going to be back home off a little road trip. I completely agree they're going to come out ready to play. I watched a lot of the first half of the Phoenix-Atlanta game. Phoenix kept it close. Their defense just really wasn't there. So, it'll be interesting to see how they come out. I completely agree. Who defends Booker? I have to think it's going to be Bullock, and they're going to leave him one-on-one, but we'll see. And then the other comment, Abdoulaye Diallo, Austin Rivers is a fraud. Take this loss on the cheek. Austin Rivers, I defended him for a long time early this season because I thought he was important for the culture. I thought his attitude in the locker room and all that stuff was really good. He played poorly. He was not a good player for this team outside of a couple of stints against Utah and maybe a moment or two here or there. And the fact that he took it as poorly as he did was, hey, Frankie with the, oh, was that a foul? Steal. And then he got fouled. Good. Whatever. I don't really care about Austin Rivers. Honestly, let him fucking do his thing in Denver. I was disappointed how it worked out here. I was disappointed in him. I was disappointed he didn't, whatever. It is what it is. But good comment. Back to Payton, or the rotation and Luca Vildoza. Let's assume he benches Payton, and because he's like, all right, we can't afford to lose any games now. We have to win every minute of every game, or try to win every minute of every game. I think he would probably sooner put Burks or Quickly into the starting lineup, and he would shorten it to a 9-man rotation with everybody healthy before he would put a guy who just arrived, let's say next week, into the rotation. That said, nothing would shock me, but I'd be really surprised. So that's what I'm going to say about that. In terms of tonight, I'll say a couple things. I thought Randall just had a terrible game. He shot 5 of 14. I think he let this one get to his head a little bit. He was 0 for 5 from deep. Just his worst shooting game of the season. Couple of bad turnovers, 6 turnovers in total. Terrible game. RJ Barrett up until that 3-point barrage, and he ended up boy, what a world we are in. What a world we are living in when unequivocally, the best part of RJ Barrett's game is his 3-point shot. Which is great. It's a good problem to have. It's not a problem, but it's a good situation, and it means that he did not hit. RJ Barrett did not hit a 2-point shot tonight, and yet he ends the night having more points than field goals attempted because of how proficient he is from 3. So whatever. But he had a rough game too. Bullock 3 for 7 from deep. Hit a couple of threes in the third there, but started out cold. The centers, I mean, look, I'm not going to get on anybody for not being able to deal with, again, the MVP, and not only the MVP, he's a guy that is, some advanced statistics would argue that he's having one of the 10 or 15 greatest seasons in the history of the league, on offense at least, and maybe even overall. Rosen quickly. Let's talk about Rosen. Burks had a terrible game too. I don't have much to say about Toppin. Rosen quickly. Nice game. Another nice game from Rose. He's been playing very well. Nice game from Quickly. I thought he played well. That's really for me come playoff time, even these next couple games, because, I mean, if you're the Knicks, you kind of have to look at, like, the playoffs are kind of starting today, right? Because they're showing it on the screen right now. They're half a game up on Atlanta. They're 2 games up on Boston. They're 2 games up on Miami. So just for argument's sake, let's say the Knicks lose 2 of these next 3 games. I don't want to talk about them losing all 3. Let's say they lose 2 of these next 3 games. And one of these other teams, wins the next 2 or 3. All of a sudden you're talking about falling down to the 6th seed and on the verge of falling to the 7th. If you've come this far as the Knicks, I feel like now we've moved from like, yes, top six seed is still the goal, but like get in that 4-5 matchup. So if you argue that the playoffs are starting today, which I kind of am, like I don't know that there's any reason we should not be seeing, and we know the reasons why we haven't been seeing it all year. Quickly and Rose, respectively, each of them playing 30 minutes a night. And Burke's playing close to 30 minutes a night, 25 to 30. 25 is probably more appropriate for him. And then Bullock's going to play his minutes and RJ is going to play his minutes. I'm not sure if he's going to keep starting Payton. I feel like the hook needs to be quicker, and I've obviously buried the lead here. Not buried the lead. The lead is that they got their ass kicked. I buried the thing that I've been wanting to talk about, which is that it's gotten too far with him. He is – look, I know he brings a little energy on defense on some of these possessions. I know he'll have a drive or two a game that looks pretty, but he is so actively detrimental to what they are doing. And I'm sorry, the offense starting out with him in the game, their offense at the beginnings of games, other than when Randall just puts it on his shoulders and is just making shots, it's never as good as it is later. And for if you're watching this, you're probably a diehard fan. You're probably a knowledgeable fan. You know damn well that it's like Payton's defense is not justifying his presence on the court. I feel like it's maybe a little bit disingenuous of me to sit here on a night again when nobody played well and they got their ass kicked to complain about Elfrid Payton. But I see what I see, and we all see what we see, and it's one thing to have a bad game because you're not hitting shots. And because, maybe you lose track of one guy here or there on a defensive coverage, like Bullock got beat backdoor. There was some confusion between him and Noel on that one open Jokić drive on the right side of the court. But, it's just so much more consistent with Elf. The miscues, the bad rim reads, the missed shots. And you want to be in a situation in the playoffs where every player that you put on the floor has the ceiling where if they play their best game, you're getting a really solid performance. That's what playoff teams have to do. And we now have 66 games worth of evidence that the very best Payton could ever do is just not going to help this team. It's just not helpful. I mean, he's played maybe 5 games this year that I would say, all right, have they been helpful? Maybe 10. 5 to 10 games. When is it time? When is it time? I would argue the time is now. So we'll see what he does. And it was very frustrating tonight. It was really very frustrating tonight because, especially in that third quarter, and for Wally Zurbach to come on the TV after the third and sing his praises when, we must be watching different games, Wally. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Let me get to some of the comments here in the super chat that I missed. Okay. Here we go. Forgotten NYC. Hoping I'm wrong, but it looks like Quickly was grabbing his knee after a hard foul, and they had to intentionally foul to get him out of the game. I'm talking to you guys, so I didn't catch it. I hope he's fine. I really hope he's fine. We need Emmanuel Quickly. I don't want to think about that. Stevens Guillaume, I know we were due for an L, law of averages, but did it have to be this bad? Yeah, it's a perfect mix. MVP playing like an MVP, showing everybody that is the MVP, and Knicks missing shots. Knicks being a step slow on defense. It's how you make it happen. Here's the one thing that you can be happy about, though. We're not going to get David Fizdale in the post-game press conference talking about how, hey, we won 3 quarters. Did they actually win 3 quarters? I'm going to look at this. Hold on. The Knicks won the second quarter. The Knicks won 3 quarters. How about that? Okay. Man, someone go find David Fizdale to get up there on the television. It's just about that 1 quarter. It's just that 1 quarter. Otherwise, We would have won this game. Long live Fizz. Long live Fizz. What a glorious human being, getting paid James Dolan's money for another several months. Good for him. Tim Kim. Would you get kicked out of the Zoom press conference for asking why he keeps letting Alfred kill our starters and has the worst net rating? I don't know if I get kicked out. It's been asked before. It's been asked by, give all the beat reporters credit, because I think Ian's definitely asked it in no uncertain terms. Vork has asked it. Berman's asked it. Everybody's asked it in different ways. Like, why does he still start games? And again, tonight's not on Elf. But at the same time, you wonder, because when the offense is like, even something as small as in the third quarter when they were kind of making a nice little run, Payton drives and he like back passes it to Noel for like a 12-footer. Obviously, Noel's going to take that shot, but you as the point guard have to know that's not the best. That's not the shot your offense needs right now. That's part of your job, in addition to things like knowing the fucking court is 50 feet wide, and not making lazy passes. It's frustrating. I'm frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. But I don't want this to turn into an Alfred bitch fest, because he's not the reason they lost this game. They lost this game as a team because they just weren't ready to deal with Jokić, and they didn't come to play. Forgotten NYC. Another thing, it absolutely sucks. This stretch has come the last week of the season. We're so close to clinching, yet we're about to lose 4 straight. I don't think they're about to lose 4 straight. I mean, they might. I don't think that's a given by any stretch of the imagination. Look, the schedule makers, we look here. I'm going to show you. Where is it here? When literally the day the schedule came out, the second half schedule came out, this is what I did. I don't know if you could see that. My light's a little bright. I circled. Of course, I can't. Okay. I circled these games. With my little handy dandy tool on my iPhone, because I'm like, the season's going to come down to those games. And at the time I circled the games, I was actually kind of being a little hopeful that the season was going to come down to the games. And I'm like, man, I hope we're not out of it by then. And now look at us. Look at us now. Not only, has it's come down to these games in the sense that, like, can we lock up a 4 or a 5 seed, which is a great place to be. So, you take the good with the bad, and you hope they can get one of these. You sign for one of these, just one, just get one. Kane Marco. Tibbs' insistence on playing Elf and leaving him on when our offense is clearly in the mud because of him is the reason he doesn't deserve Coach of the Year. I mean, that goes 2 ways. Look, I don't know. I don't know what things are like in the locker room. It feels like we've seen Julius get a little frustrated with Elf at times. If other guys have gotten frustrated with Elf, I haven't noticed it. Maybe other guys have. But at this point, you have to look at the whole picture. And is there a basketball justification for playing him? No, obviously not. Is there an off-the-court thing that goes above the locker room and goes into the front office that has to do with, potentially re-signing or not re-signing Julius Randle long-term? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know that. But the resume is the resume. I think Tibbs does deserve Coach of the Year, regardless of the Elf thing. So, we'll see here. Don Cappuccini, thank you, by the way, everybody. I know this is a shitty night, and people are still contributing to the Super Chat. That's very generous, and I appreciate it. And thank you. And I think I missed a couple, so I'm going to make sure I get to all of them. Don Cappuccini, the first game versus Denver wasn't really close either. It wasn't. Considering our next opponent is also coming off a bad game, and we were closer the last game, call me crazy, but I'm calling a bounce back Friday night. I don't think you're crazy at all. I thought on balance they were maybe not the better team than Phoenix when they played Phoenix the other night, but I thought they were as good as Phoenix when they played them whatever it was a couple weeks ago. I thought, I think the difference is that Phoenix has two elite shot makers. And in Chris Paul has a guy that can kind of manipulate an offense in ways other than just making shots. And I thought, and they have other guys that could do stuff too. Mikal Bridges is really fucking good. It's a good roster. That said, I think we're every bit as good as Phoenix. I don't think they particularly have a home court advantage. So it would not shock me in the least if they came out and at the very least made the game close. I think they will make the game close. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be a good game. Are they going to win? We'll see. Zeke Smith asked before, this is the one I missed, is Elf only playing because he shares an agent with Randall? I don't know. Here's what I know, or here's what I believe. Let me rephrase that. Here's what I believe. I believe Tibbs is a smart basketball coach, and I believe that he is 1,000 times brighter than me and all of us. Not that I'm any great shakes. And when it comes to watching this stuff and seeing the stuff that really matters. And I believe that he appreciates the fact that Payton can be a pest on the defensive end and, put pressure on the rim. And occasionally it might be an offensive rebound and a putback. And that's good. But there's no way that Thibodeau's watching Payton and genuinely thinks this is what's in the best interest of my basketball team. So is it a front office thing? Is it an agent thing? Logically, that would make sense, but I can't speak to that definitively. Anthony Sixto learned a lot from Barrett in games like this. Despite a brutal starting 20 minutes, he continued to fight and find his game, gave us fleeting hope for 2 minutes there. Yeah, I mean, what more can you say about RJ Barrett? He's struggling from two, I think, a little bit right now. I thought the stretch he had for 10 or 15 games there for a while, where he was really in command of his game all over the floor. I think that's kind of subsided a little bit. Lately, it's been much more from three and being more opportunistic. I think, again, tonight we saw some rough shots around the rim. But, man, he does not give up. He does not give up, and he is shooting the three ball right now with as much confidence. I truly believe this. He's shooting the three right now with as much confidence as any player in the league. I think there is a certain modicum of confidence that you get to. I'm not saying he's the best three-point shooter in the league. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. But in terms of when he fires it, does he think it's going in? And if you look at how much quicker his release, and we've talked about this before, if you look at how much quicker his release is from last season to the beginning of this season to now, it's night and day. It's night and day. It's a 180. It's a complete turnaround. So yeah, kudos to him. And he doesn't give up. And Taj diving on the floor. I just absolutely love to see that. That was that's the moment that I'm going to remember from this game is Taj Gibson diving on the floor, because that's Taj, and his teammates see that, and that matters to his teammates. So all right, been talking for almost a half an hour. I think that's probably enough. I'll take a few more questions as I pull up the email for Tibbs pressure. I'm probably going to sign off before we get to Tibbs time, because I do want to start working on tomorrow's newsletter. But I will read what Andrew just wrote, which is that it is incredible to see how many of you are here tonight after that shit game. I completely agree. It is incredible. Let's get those likes up. Yeah, please, by all means, hit the like button if you're cool with liking discussion of a game this bad. I don't know if that's. Oh wow, that was quick.
Well, he's having a terrific season for him. He's a very talented player.
So talking about Jokić, obviously.
Individually, you have to guard him with your team, and so you tip your hat and try to make him work as much as you can. He's a great player, and there were a lot of things that we could have done a little bit better, and we'll have to find a way.
Mike working off. when trying to stop Jokić, do you try to decide there whether to let him just kind of be a scorer and take away the playmaking, or do you try to decide, okay, try to make him a play?
Well, that's sort of like what you have to decide, because it's, he can beat you scoring, he can beat you with the pass. You try not to make it where it's both, and so, but he's very unique in the sense that he handles the ball a lot. And he's got great vision. He's going to make you pay for mistakes, and that's where your ball pressure has to be great. Your weak side awareness has to be great, and your body position has to be great. And so, he uses his body really well, and he can do it a lot of different ways. He can do it in the post. He could do it facing the basket. He could do it shooting the three. So puts a lot of pressure on you.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
All right, that was a quick presser. That's interesting because we usually takes time. I'm gathering from how quickly he got on the dais there that, if I had to guess, his post game sentiment to the team was something along the lines of like, put this one behind you, and look, I think that's fair. I'm the ultimate Knick apologist. I am blue and orange glasses. I am glass full of orange and blue Kool-Aid. What is orange and blue mixed together? I don't even know. So I am always going to look on the positive, and I'll be the first person to admit that. But I didn't think they came out tonight like not without effort or anything like that. I thought they got hit in the mouth. It took them a while to adjust. They couldn't adjust in time. They couldn't guard Jokić because no one could fucking guard Jokić. They didn't hit shots. Like, if I'm Tibbs, I'm not losing my shit over this game myself. Tonight's not the game. Like, to me, tonight, if he went in there, and I'm not gonna fucking tell him how to do his job, but if he went in there and like reamed them a new one because they got their ass kicked, like, to me that would seem to be misplaced anger or angst. I feel like you give this team the credit that it's due. They fought hard all year. It's the message tonight for me would be let's get the next one. A couple more super chat comments in here, and then I'm going to sign off. PKNY, let's keep this in perspective. The Suns lost by 32 tonight to the Hawks, so anyone can have a bad night. Let's give Phoenix 2 in a row. Go Knicks. I completely agree. Look, this has been, and let me just make sure I'm not saying anything untrue before I say this. Yeah. This is the first game since the first game after the All-Star break when they got their ass kicked by Milwaukee that they were really not competitive. If you want to point to the first Dallas game when Dallas kind of took control, but even that game was a 3-point game, or not a 3-point. It was a 3-point game at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and it was a game with under 3 minutes left. They've been in every game, like down to the wire. So the fact that you have a team, that has not played an easy schedule, and they have gone now 27, 28 straight games, like being in all of these games, that's not something a ton of teams have done this year. And actually, looking at how Utah's had their struggles, Phoenix has had some struggles recently, Philly has had a couple bad ones, Brooklyn's had a couple bad ones, Milwaukee's had a lot of bad ones. Like, I'm not sure there's another team out there who has gone this length of time in the second half of the season without getting their ass kicked. Look at me putting a positive spin on tonight. I can't help myself. So, again, it is what it is. I think that I missed one more. Stevens Guillaume. So, serious question here. Serious question. Does anyone know how to build a rocket ship? I feel like there has to be an instruction manual on the internet out there somewhere. How hard can it be to build a rocket ship that has enough space for one man? A small rocket ship. Maybe Theo Pinson does know how to build it. If I bet if there was a Knick that knew how to build a rocket ship, it would be Theo. It would be Theo Pinson. You know, Nathaniel Perez knows a guy. Zeke Smith. I'm an engineer. I have contacts at Space. If the super chat. So Andrew, are we going to commandeer a company? Like, are there companies for hire that could build these things? Again, it doesn't have to be a big ship. It's a small ship. Elon Musk. Does anyone know Elon Musk? Man, yeah. God bless him. Don Cappuccini with one more in the super chat. Could Vildoza long-term deal be assigned to not to expect Rose returning? That's actually a great place to end it. So Vildoza's deal is long-term, but it's all non-guaranteed. Quite frankly, I don't think it has one iota of an effect on how they're going to build this team moving forward. I think the nice thing about Vildoza, and quite frankly, the nice thing about Derrick Rose is both of those guys could play off ball, which let's even take it further, another step forward. There's no such thing as a guy in the NBA before other than Elfrid Payton. There's no such thing as a guy in the NBA right now who has to play on ball. Like, if you're going to be an NBA player, you have to play off ball. So, you know, the way to build your team now, if you're building a team wisely, in a perfect world, you have two ball handlers in your backcourt at all times. So the fact that they're bringing on Vildoza, to me, doesn't affect anything else because he's a guy that could shoot it. He's not really a true point guard, quote unquote. So I think they could have Vildoza. I think they could have Rose. Quickly's obviously going to be in the backcourt next year. You know, hopefully they sign or trade for, you know, a real point guard, and you move whatever it is. You move Barrett to the 3. You have Bullock or Burks coming off the bench. And listen, it's no guarantee the guy's in the rotation if he does stick around, although the money that they have him on, I would imagine if they do decide to keep him and guarantee his money for next year, that they're probably doing so with the intention of him being in the rotation, especially since he's a guy that won an MVP in a European, like a significant European final. I don't get the sense that he would be coming here to be a guy who's not going to play games. You know, maybe he will, but my sense is that part of the way that they got him to come here is the notion that, like, look, we're going to give you an opportunity to play. All right. I think that's it. Again, I've said it a few times this year. I'll say it again. You guys, we are the best fans in the world. Get our ass kicked. It's almost midnight. Middle of the week. I'm dragging. And there's 300 people here, and people contributing in the super chat, which is just beyond generous. And we're so appreciative of that. So thank you. I got my boppy here. If anybody, I think I'm going to wear this for when I have to watch Elfrid Payton next. So in case I bang my head into something, I can have this to protect me. Anyway, I'll see everybody on Friday night. And yeah, until then, let's go Knicks. Giddy up.